The Effects of COVID-19 by Emma Fleming. There have been many things going on in our world today, and the main thing is COVID-19 and how this pandemic has affected so many aspects of life. Businesses are closing. People are growing more and more ill. Stores are selling out of all cleaning supplies and other objects. You are not allowed to go anywhere without wearing a mask. Buildings and open areas are being transformed into temporary hospitals, and so much more. So many aspects of our day-to-day lives have been affected by this pandemic. However, I will be focusing mainly on 4 topics: mental health and domestic abuse, anti-Asian, anti-Chinese racism, income and debt, and jail and prison populations. Mental health. Adults and young adults' lives have been greatly impacted by COVID-19. People are losing their jobs. Students have had their school years cut short. Graduates have had their ceremonies canceled. Healthcare workers and first responders have been getting sick and dying at an alarming rate. People are scared to go to the hospital because they might get sick, and so much more. Kids need school and to be able to be around their classmates and friends. Adults need work to be able to support themselves and their families. People need doctors, mental and physical. Basically, people need people. According to Families for Depression Awareness, more people than usual are living with anxiety or depression, and sadly, the suicide rate is increasing. Other than the obvious job loss and debt, there are so many other things that are affecting people's mental health that might not even seem like that big of a deal to some. As you can see in this image, 1 in 5 college students say that their mental health has significantly worsened because of COVID-19. Students were forced to move back home and to finish their schooling online. There are many college students who do not have a good home life. Also, with minimal access to school resources that we had before, such as the library, in-person classes, and office hours, and many more, it has been a major struggle for some students to be able to keep up. How to improve. There are many things that people are doing that have been really successful in helping others to get through this. An important thing that Families for Depression Awareness has stated is that schools should continue to offer virtual counseling or telephone check-ins whenever possible. Schools have been doing a pretty good job of keeping in touch with students and providing students with as many resources as possible during this time. It is important to keep yourself accountable for not only yourself, but also for your neighbors. Schools, counselors, doctors, emergency hotlines, and even volunteers who are just trying to help out should be available at all times for people to call in and be able to talk, or even to be able to video chat in some way in order to keep up with their mental stability. Combating anti-Chinese and anti-Asian racism in the time of COVID-19. Since COVID began, there has been a major increase of racism towards Asians and Asian Americans. In an article posted by the Human Rights Watch, it states that since the outbreak of the pandemic, Asians and people of Asian descent have been targets of derogatory language in media reports and statements by politicians, as well as on social media platforms, where hate speech related to COVID-19 also appears to have spread extensively. The article also states that increases in racist rhetoric have coincided with increases in racist attacks. Since February, Asians and people of Asian descent around the world have been subjected to attacks and beating, violent bullying, threats, racist abuse, and discrimination that appear linked to the pandemic. How to improve. Although this pandemic was first seen in China, that does not mean that all people of Asian descent are to blame. It is completely unethical to be shouting racial slurs at people and for people to be attacking others just because of what they look like. There have been many pandemics throughout history, and they have originated in all different kinds of places, so no one is to blame. We just need to work on finding a cure and flattening the curve. It is our job as Americans to be respectful of everyone's culture and to support as many small businesses as we can during this time, especially businesses owned by a person of Asian descent. Also, it is up to us to fight back at these people who are spreading hate and to spread as much love and positivity as we can. Income and debt. Since this pandemic broke out, income has decreased due to many people losing their jobs. Because of this, business income is also down because people are not buying goods and services. Debt has skyrocketed because people are living off of credit cards and stimulus checks due to losing their jobs. Among lower-income adults, an even higher share, 52%, say that they or someone in their household has experienced this type of job upheaval. According to the Pew Research Center, 43% of U.S. adults now say that they or someone in their household has lost a job or taken a cut in pay due to the coronavirus outbreak, which is up from 33% in the latter half in March. Lower-income households are more likely to experience job loss or a pay cut due to COVID-19. According to this chart, over half of lower-income Americans report household job or wage loss due to the pandemic. Only 23% of adults now rate national economic conditions as excellent or good, down dramatically from 57% at the beginning of 2020. As you can see from this graph, charity group of Oxfam has warned that a recession caused by COVID-19 could push an extra 500 million people into poverty unless urgent action is taken. How to improve. The CARES Act and people donating to COVID relief funds were a good start, but there are other things that we can do as individuals. We can support local small businesses, donate to COVID relief funds if possible, and if not, we can still share links and information so that people who are able to donate might see it and want to help out. It is also important to always check in on your family and friends and make sure that everyone is doing okay. Jail and prison populations in the COVID pandemic. I believe that the New England Journal of Medicine addressed this issue very well. The authors wrote, "To operationalize a response for incarcerated populations, 3 levels of preparedness need to be addressed. The virus should be delayed as much as possible from entering correctional settings. If it is already in circulation, it should be controlled. And jails and prisons should prepare to deal with a high burden of disease." According to ABC7 Eyewitness News, as of late March, 139 inmates and 114 correctional officers tested positive for the coronavirus. It was the worst outbreak in any of the nation's largest jails. After this, city leaders released hundreds of inmates from New York City jails to bring the population down to about 4,800. How to improve. MD Akiyama, Spalding, and Rich wrote, "We believe that we need to prepare now by decarcerating or releasing as many people as possible, focusing on those who are least likely to commit additional crimes, but also on the elderly and infirm, urging police and courts to immediately suspend arresting and sentencing people, as much as possible, for low-level crimes and misdemeanors, isolating and separating incarcerated persons who are infected and those who are under investigation for possible infection from the general prison population, hospitalizing those who are seriously ill, and identifying correctional staff and healthcare providers who became infected early and have recovered, who can help with custodial and care efforts once they have been cleared, since they may have some degree of immunity and severe staff shortages are likely. A big step in preventing more people from contracting the virus is to release as many people as possible, while still keeping in mind the safety of others. People who were charged with minor offenses or people who are up for parole soon would be a good place to start. I believe that we are off to a good start with this. A few examples according to the Prison Policy Initiative being that the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation announced that people in state prisons for nonviolent offenses with less than 180 days left on their sentence are eligible for supervised release beginning July 1st. At the end of March, 3,500 people with parole dates scheduled for April were paroled a few days or weeks early. Also, in Michigan, the number of people being paroled from state prisons has increased by about 1,000 people per month to reduce prison density in the face of the pandemic. Our main focus should be to release as many people as possible while also still maintaining the safety of others. Overall, there are many factors of life that are being affected by this pandemic. That is why we need to all work together to flatten the curve and to minimize the infection rate until there is a cure. Stay at home, keep social distancing, wear your mask, and be respectful of not only your own health, but of the health of others during this time.